that we started at a high note and then the real interference happened. And we don't know what precipitated that. And then changes started to come in after the declaration, after the statement of intent, which I will speak to also speak to the question of the Freedom Charter at the day. So, in our statement, and what I've said here today is that we still want the DA and all other parties that have agreed with the statement of intent here in Gauteng has agreed to continue to participate and to be part of government. Our leadership here in Gauteng left them with an understanding that they are going to come back to them to finalize their discussions. So there was no deadlock. I then said to her, let's go back to the negotiating team. I will lead the ANC negotiating team. You come with Gauteng. I will come with Gauteng. Comrades, my leadership here in Gauteng, we meet together. We met the whole afternoon yesterday. And then we also left a women. So I've got confidence in that we can negotiate this anything. I don't have to be there to police. We understand the strategic framework and everything of what was agreed. He's a member of the ANC. So we understand what we have to do. And the members of our negotiating team were actually there. So they still reached the deadline. They still reached the deadline. So the engagement is there, but you can't have an open-ended process. And so that is why in our letter we said at 2 o'clock today, we must hear from them, but equally, not arrogantly, respectively so, we will move forward without the DA in terms of how to establish government. And that's what is going to happen going forward. And the DA told us yesterday, even in the negotiation, that they are prepared to go back to the benches. If this is a deal breaker for them, then they will go. But if not, we'll move together going forward. There have been compromises back and forth. DA believes that proportionality, according to Zille, to them it means 5-5, which each party must share 1-1 for the opposition. That reflects power sharing, according to them. Now, we don't have to engage what power sharing is in GNU. The spirit of the intent means inclusiveness. It means you include even a party with one vote. And that's what is important. So they wanted to know which parties you want to include. Remember, the spirit of intent says the party that has got the majority will invite others to form government. And that's what it says. So the question of who you have spoken to and who have signed with you, it's not a secret. It's a matter that we can explain to the DA. It has been out there. We have explained with the GNU discussion in our statements openly that 10, now 11 parties have signed with us. And Gauteng has been trying to follow that framework and all of it. So, what makes fanatics to think that Gauteng is anti-DA in Gauteng is because there are people inherently, even in the ANC, who don't like the DA. You understand? Who don't like the DA, because the DA and the ANC is like milk and oil. We are well apart. But the result of the election have produced the result wherein which we've got to work together to form a government. We've had many options before we arrived at this option. We've had an option which was easy. A grand coalition, one party or parties coming together to work together. We had that option. We had an option of a minority government with elements of a supply and confidence agreement. We had that option. Initially in our discussion, it looked like we'll gravitate towards that. But it came to a point where we don't care whether the animal is black or white, but we are in this thing that brings everybody together. And we coined it from our National Executive Committee as a government of national unity with characteristics of supply and confidence. And we have seen the expression of that now, because when we're talking, it was theory. What it means is that within the 10 parties, others will not be in the executive, but they would prefer to work within the legislatures, but not in the executive. Not everybody wants to be in government. And the DA came back with a firmer position, and they said that we want to come in. We want to be part and parcel of government. We said, fine, good, but it's not only you, it's us. So we worked on a statement of intent. We signed with the DA, and then the second party to sign was PA, the other one to follow was IFP, and others followed. And that's what has happened in terms of the statement of intent. So how we gave them a go-ahead to talk, and that's why Panyaza was elected as premier and to move with the DA, because they said to us there is an agreement. We said, good shot, go ahead. The same as KZN, the same as Northern Cape. So Gauteng has never moved outside the realm of democratic centralism in terms of ANC culture. From the onset, the National Executive Committee and the officials said that we must all move together, and that's what is important. And then we said to them, start the talks about talks. Talk to everybody. Engage them. Before we even arrived at the position that we arrived at of the GNU. And that's what has actually happened. So, engaging with Helen and the DA has not been a difficulty. And it is not a difficulty even now. Talks go on, you won't imagine how it happens up until late and wee hours of the morning, and exchanging of drafts and all of that and so on. So we're open to engagement. Even before we arrived at the decision that Gauteng have said that today they are ready to move ahead. So our statement is very clear. After consultation, Panyaza will then move ahead as his prerogative based on his full understanding of parties that are prepared to participate in the provincial government of national unity, move ahead to establish government. And other parties may respectfully say, we're not coming. Like the DA said yesterday, this is not reflective of their own conception of power sharing. And that in this particular instance, they've got an option of stepping out. Let me tell you, among the options the ANC had when we approached this discussion was first, can we go for a rerun of the elections? Can we, among others, go for a rerun of the elections? Can we go to the backbenches? Now, you know that the ANC, if it were to take the option of going to the backbenches, it will be the biggest, largest opposition party in the world in history of politics. With 6 million people, you go back to the backbenches. No, it has never happened. The party with the largest majority, without a mandate to form government outright, is the one that leads and works with everybody. It's not by choice. Even if political parties were to come together and do what others said we must be removed surgically, they will never be able to achieve that. The reason why they are in negotiations is because the electorate said, relax, we don't agree with that. We want you to work together. That's what President Ramaphosa says. Plainly, this result has produced a result where it says work together. And so that is what has actually happened. So, Lizeka, we are prepared to engage with Helen and the DA, and if we were to find a solution by the time I finish here, well and good. Well and good. But the message I got from her didn't look like we are heading that direction. But it doesn't mean I'll stop talking to her. What is the time now? It's 4 o'clock. So we've not been negotiating with deadlines. Political parties mature, come back. We start at 20, we come down. So that is it. But it has been a very fruitful process of engagement and of talking, and very matured. And I wonder, it's very difficult to deal with a gossip column because you lead a gossip newspaper. It's called the tabloid. So you are sure, so you are told things that some are the untruths, and you've got the license to write them because you are Mr. Gossip. So let me say this, with due respect to Sunday World, of course that is your posture, your tabloid. I wouldn't expect others to be like you because it's hardcore stuff, you know, politics and all of that. But let me entertain the gossip a little bit. Pushing the DA, I've seen that. It is gossip because I've seen it in WhatsApp groups. So WhatsApp groups are very toxic. I'm not part of WhatsApp groups. I'm part of WhatsApp groups that only do work for the ANC. Even ANC people who got WhatsApp groups, I've resigned from those. I've left. Because there's a lot of whining there, and you're talking to a person who was never done door to door, but is the biggest critic of our failures today. That's the people on WhatsApp groups. Not genuine person belongs to a WhatsApp group. Others are speaking 24/7. Now you realize these are side effects of unemployment. That is what it does to our people. You see, they are sitting there, not doing anything, disengaged. There is a saying in English that idle minds breed evil ideas. So if you are not working and you've got access to Wi-Fi, you can WhatsApp the whole night. So, and then say things that are imaginary and that are not truthful. And I can't contest that at my level as the SG. I can't. Honestly, I'm now being drawn to the street level. I must answer a gossip that I've interfered with Panyaza. I'm the director of the ANC. I'm the Secretary General. I execute the mandate of the National Executive Committee to the latter. Panyaza can't do as he wishes in this country. We run this organization within the prescripts of the Constitution of the ANC. Even the things some say, I talk to them. You are overboard. Don't be excited by things. You know why they said I'm excited by cameras? Because I said something about Zuma that I was not supposed to say. And then he said, no, please guys, help him with cameras. So, even a sponsor shop is better run. ANC must be run properly. When we are faced with a difficult, look at Zille. He's running DA machinery, there is dissent there. Have you seen DA people running amok? Zille is the boss. I'm not the boss here. I'm accountable. My word is not final. I execute what I'm mandated to execute. And the province fall into line. So this lie that I intercept, I interfere, doesn't exist. I direct the affairs of the ANC. And that I can tell you for free. Whether they like it or not, because we're a big organization. Others may not like it because they thought things will move quick fix for their own selfish interest. It doesn't work like that. This province of the ANC is led by Panyaza, a man called Panyaza, working with men and women who exercise their brain power and political thinking independently and make suggestions to national leadership. We process that together with them and then we take that as decisions which must be implemented. So I've heard horrific things that are even said by Helen, that the ANC wants 7 because they do a favor for so and so. I mean, if I were to tell the world how the DA thinks, that will not be matured. Because it's an independent party, I must respect them. Because there is no such in the ANC. Our political considerations and strategic considerations are our own, and we don't negotiate them with Helen. Our prerogatives are our own political, we don't negotiate them with Helen. And what does she have to do with ANC dynamics? She must focus on what she wants. And if she can't get it, let it be. She will go her own direction, leading her own party. And we respect the DA as an independent party, and whatever the dynamics that are there is of their own. Fundamental to us is people first. That is what has guided the ANC. That is the principle. National interest. We had a choice to go different directions and negotiate for 100 days. You know, I was looking at the Congo, at DRC. I was surprised after 5 months there was no government. Just some days ago, the president announced cabinet and government. Here in South Africa, it happened in less than a month. Actually, we've broken the record. So we're just left with Panyaza. So that's why we can't go on for months. I've heard people say, we can't replicate wrong things, but let's negotiate for 12 months. No, we can't. Everything must come to an end. The people have spoken. We've accepted the result, and that is it. Political parties have sat down and made up their mind. And that is it. So we're looking at that. A futuristic, we don't know what is the future, because the future is not in the distant horizon. Because what we can predict about the future, that we are doing things in a futuristic way, I think is far from the truth. I mean, it's just simple, cheap gossip, street gossip actually. That's what it is. There's no truth into that. Our leadership here in Gauteng is there, and the center holds. And we're directing the affairs here. And it's not true. We know that in the ANC, we do have differences politically. That's why, as a political party that we are, we have embraced what is called dissent. We don't just arrive at a meeting and accept decision and without others saying, but we thought we should have moved in a particular direction. That's what has kept the ANC together. So, if there are people in the ANC which we know have a deep feelings about engagement in the GNU that involved the DA, we'll thresh it out politically and explain to them the strategic tasks before us, why we arrived at that decision. It has never happened that the ANC take a difficult decision and everybody agrees with. We've got COSATU, we've got the Communist Party. Why should COSATU not be worried about working with the DA when the DA was marching for the workers before the elections and promising public servants that all of them will be retrenched? Why should COSATU not be worried that you are now working with these people in a government? How are you going to navigate through that? It is strategic, it is correct. Even when we agreed on transitional mechanisms to this country, mass defiance campaign, and all of that and so on. We now want transitional mechanisms, modalities of the transference of power. And that is what we wanted. Transitional Executive Council, Mangope was gone and everybody else, and then the date for the elections. 1994 was ushered in. Through the toil, the struggle, the blood of our martyrs. But our leadership at all material times was thinking strategically and was thinking about the people. If the ANC did not care about the people and the people's interest, this struggle would have been in vain. It was properly directed up until this far. So the futuristic interest that we want and for everybody should be futuristic interest where the ANC will come back to power. And the futuristic interest for all of us should be about that in the ANC. But for the people of South Africa, it is unity, peace, redress, national unity. And when we said we want to form GNU, I'm sure some of you were saying, this thing that they are talking about is just ANC talk. They love positions. They want to give political parties something that is not tangible. We have given tangible positions to political parties in the GNU. And then Heidi, Junzi, your questions were answered by Panyaza and they were not directed to me. The cutoff, when is the cutoff? The cutoff, Panyaza have said is today, because they are prepared to move ahead. So after now, he will consult, he will engage with all his political people before he announces. Are you still ready to come to the party? If they are not, I suppose he will move ahead with the announcement of the Provincial Government of National Unity in Gauteng. Why the postponement? The negotiations, things are not cast in stone. You plan your things and then you decide. And the postponement was done in consultation with the province, with ourselves, including yesterday. They were ready to move. We said, no, let's go back to the negotiations. And then let's talk, let's engage, and so on. So it is normal when you want to constitute government and you have not won an election, that you go back and forth and all of that. But there's never been confusion at the leadership level about the strategic framework and where we are heading to. Now, those who are gossiping and talking their own thing, it ends in the beer hall. Not yet. Here we are driving strategy to the end, and then we are briefing our structures. So, we will be briefing our structures, and that has happened countrywide, including here in Gauteng, because our people are relating with news of this nature through WhatsApp groups and media. They don't know up to this far, some of them, how we arrived at the decisions we arrived at. And the ANC does not relate to its members through the media only. We talk to them directly. And we have done that throughout the country. There are a few provinces that are left. It is Gauteng. Today we are briefing Northwest. And we still have got to go down to the regions and talk to them about the decision we've taken. But the center holds. The center is the NEC. The NEC understands its mandate in terms of driving the processes of engagement. Are we going to be working with the MK or the EFF? The EFF and MK have said that they don't want to be part of the GNU. We have repeatedly said that too. So we don't know where the question arises. They said they don't want to be part of the GNU where other political parties participate because they've got a red line for that. And they've made their positions very clear that they don't recognize it. So that question does not arise to us, because the perspective that says we must go with a black political party movement, a black consciousness of 2024, does not arise in our, not just our vocabulary, it does not arise even in our ideological perspective. as the ANC. So we work with everybody. So the black consciousness of political parties, and then we've got to interrogate a whole lot of things about ideology and all of that. And then
Tired of old school marketing tactics? Forget outdated email, cold calling, and SMS marketing. It's time to evolve.
We can't be hoodwinked.
Political concepts that have not been thoroughly processed, politically
speaking. So we believe that national interest, constitutionalism, rule of law are key to us in terms of the outcome of the election. As the ANC, we believe in that. Not some black consciousness movement
that must come in
2024 and all of that. It is very good, black consciousness, don't misunderstand me. It is very good, but it must have content. You see, and if you look at the GNU, we've brought liberation movement into it. And then the PAC lead a land reform program in that GNU. So you may say it is one seat, but it is fundamental in terms of the disposition of the GNU when it comes to who is part of it. If Nyonzo had 10 seats as the PAC, probably you will have 3 seats or 20 seats. He's one. You can't take anyone after him because you see. But you are embracing the principle of national liberation movement. And that's what is important. And then allocating a proper seat to the PAC to drive, which will support the land reform program isolate. That's what is important. And that program equally is the program of the national liberation movement. But the ANC has not only locked itself into that, it has gone beyond that in terms of how we analyze the South African question, which will require a webinar discussion for some time. Power FM, this impasse will be resolved, and then we'll move ahead. We may move ahead as a force, or we may move ahead with others behind.
Which will require a webinar discussion for some time.
Our interest is to
Power FM.
For everybody. Let me now come to the Freedom Charter. As the last,
this impasse will be resolved,
as the last,
and then we'll move ahead. We may move ahead as a force,
we have not,
or we may move ahead with others behind. And that is what.
Not even you. It became a joke that we.
It is. But our interest.
We drafted the document.
Is to basically work for everybody.
See this lady here? Is the best drafter. She's a doctor. She's a research capacity of.
Let me now come to the Freedom Charter.
As a collective. I had the negotiations. We looked at the document. It goes back and forth. It goes to
as the last.
It goes to the officials.
As the.
We agree on it, and the SG signs. So the question that the document was not
the last topic
because we drafted.
It says that we have not Helen you media, you say, not even you. It became a joke that we signed a document we have not read.
And then followed by PA. And then
we drafted the document.
Followed by all
you see this lady here?
Now,
the best drafter. She's a doctor.
What it says. I'm reading it for you. I'll read for you in this.
She's a research capacity of the ANC.
Clause 16 and 17.
We work as a collective. I had the negotiations.
It says the government of national unity shall be constituted.
Document, it goes back and forth. It goes to the president. It goes to the officials. We agree on it, and the SG side. So the question that the document was not read is incorrect because we drafted You can only not read what you have not drafted. So we drafted the document, we shared with all political parties. They looked at it independently and they signed with us. The first party to sign with us was the DA. And then followed by PA, and then from there, followed by all other parties and the IFP. Now, here is clause 16, what it says. I'm reading it for you. I'll read for you in this document. Go and familiarize yourself. Clause 16 and 17 of the statement of intent. It says the government of national unity shall be constituted in a manner that reflects genuine inclusiveness of political parties that are party to this statement of intent and are represented in the National Assembly, broadly taking into account the number of seats parties have in the National Assembly and the need to advance the national interest. The President then shall, in constituting the executive, take into account the electoral outcomes. Helen Zille bring into this, when we talk about seats, proportionality. And then says that in terms of proportionality, we are then being undermined. But leave that it may be. In the document, we don't not even extrapolate proportionality and analyze it in detail. We talk about the principle of inclusiveness. We don't talk about proportionality that you'll get 5, 6, 7, 8. If you bring that in the negotiations, you can. But we made it very clear that to us, inclusiveness means to talk to everybody. But these are things that we'll share with you if you want to run a show on Netflix about what happened behind the talks. So we'll explain that. But the most important thing, that is clause 16, right? And then 17 says, whilst recognizing the president's prerogative to appoint members of the executive, such appointment shall be done in consultation with leaders of respective parties of the members considered for appointment. Now, President exercises prerogative. He talks to John Hesthazen about Panyaza is going to constitute government in Gauteng. He will talk to leaders of political parties in Gauteng. That, look, and then they will talk about posts. And then that party probably will say, we want one post, this and that and that. And then they look into that, they engage at their level. Because the prerogative is now constitutional. But we said in terms of the statement of intent, the president will do that after consultation and so on. So that is the statement of intent. Is a public document that everybody have actually read. Have we given political parties positions that are anti-freedom charter? Now, all positions should belong to the ANC. But they would have belonged to the ANC if the ANC won outright majority. So which position is not a position of the Freedom Charter? All of them. 32 ministries, is it correct? Belong to the Freedom Charter. So the question when you constitute GNU at the government level, to an extent that you'll say this does not belong to us, it belongs to the Freedom Charter and all of that. Which one is going to be that? Because all of them are important, including Gayton Mackenzie's position. They're very important. Sports, arts and culture is very important. Social cohesion, nation building, it's a big project. One politician said to me, and one politician once criticized me and said, hey, Zuma unyatsite. Ufile ministry wa uralukedi dangari le bananyana and all of that. Now I won't quote that politician. And then another politician said, you know, sports, you're taking it very serious. It's a very important position. In apartheid era, I was Minister of Education and Sports. I ended up becoming something important after that. So don't take it for granted. Because it's an important position, not for your own self-aggrandizement, but it is the position that makes you people happy. You are part of the people who generate happiness index for the country. And you can see it's like Gayton is going to make us happy. The guy is he's like Razmataz. If you like it, you see. So it's not a position you take for granted. We used to wake up early, fetch people from the airport, make them feel good, make them embrace Makadzi, Tyler. When they arrive at airport, you must be there. Dinners are organized. People are given houses. They are given land in other countries when they've won medals. That's how important that position is. So when you say we have given positions to other political parties that undermines the Freedom Charter, I think every position, my brother, belongs to the Freedom Charter. And the Freedom Charter says the people shall govern. And if you read the principles of the Freedom Charter under the people shall govern, it respects the power of the people through vote, because we're disfranchised. So the vote have spoken. The vote said to the ANC, you've got 40%. You've got 34% in Gauteng. DA, you've got 28%. We don't govern. If we governed, we wouldn't be having this press conference. By the day the president was inaugurated, the following day, cabinet would have been announced. We had to take time to start to talk to people that we even never thought we'll talk to them. Others you don't know, the name of the party probably, who's the leader, and then you've got to find them, where they are, how they are thinking. Do they think about the country? Talks about talks, you sell the idea. And then others, when we talked to them, they said no. They came, others, with this blackness and a fake liberation movement concept. That's fake. Because when they were supposed to understand this politics at a given point in time, they didn't. But South Africans have given us this outcome. And that's where we are as the ANC. And it stands to be seen what this GNU is going to do. Politically speaking, it can be a formidable force, or in the process, others may move away from it. But it won't collapse. One thing for sure, it won't collapse. Others may decide that this thing is not working for us. We have tested for a few years. It's not working for us. We are leaving. You get what I mean? But they will be replaced. So at the end of the day, GNU is constituted with the ANC in majority working with others, not outright. And that's what it is. We've got mechanisms, which is what now, as I conclude, how we are going to deal with matters. Remember, the statement of intent does not replace the Constitution. That's what is important. The statement of intent does not replace how cabinet functions. You know, when people were being sworn in today, others cannot even pronounce conscientiously. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I had a difficulty myself when I became the deputy minister for the first time to pronounce that word conscientiously. But that oath is loaded. Do as you wish. You act like you are not following that oath. That's why Justice Zondo was saying, say it in English, if not in Xhosa, and you sign for it. Because that's not a picnic there. A minister must be minister. That's not a picnic. Deputy minister must be, I will respect my office. That thing is not a child's play. You serve the people of this country. We wanted to reduce government to 25, actually to 21 as ANC. The people of South Africa humbled us. There now we've got 32. There. We don't have a choice. because it's the reflection of the will of the people. We bring everybody on board, and then let's work for South Africa. And that's what is important for us. So, in conclusion, Phoebe, which I've spoken a lot, I don't think there will be follow-ups.
Yes.
I've covered you a lot, because Panyaza still has got to go. You've got one.
Yes.
Before I sit, one? Yes.
Breiten here from Netwerk 24. Does the arrangement to the other side without the DA, is that a more complex arrangement? And let's say the DA says, no, we're out in Gauteng. Who are the parties that you are going to work with, and what will the proportionality be?
We're still hopeful that DA will be part. We're still hopeful. And then...
they've said that they're out. They've just confirmed that now.
It's fine. Then we'll cross that. I will not answer it from the podium. But we have made it very clear that we will work with them. But if they are out, we can't delay the impasse. We've got to constitute government. And Panyaza will answer that question tonight.
Good afternoon, SG.
Yeah.
My name is from Roman South of the Men and Guardian. SG, basically what I wanted to find out is that I think maybe the processes of the ANC when you are suspended lasts you about 6 months. With former President Zuma, how far are you with the disciplinary hearing of his? Because you announced that you suspended him in January, and we're already in July now. It looks like it has elapsed. And also with the leadership of Northwest and I think Free State, the chairperson is not being part of premiers. Are we not going to experience what we experienced in KZN between Duma and Dube? Thank you very much.
I would be happy to answer that question at the right time. But just to remind you, we have said that Zuma's case is postponed. We wanted to give ourselves time for an election campaign, which we did. The DC have set the date for the hearing, and we wish to respect that process. We will talk about that case at the end, when verdict and all the things have been done. At the present moment, we don't want to be accused of prejudice and all sorts of things, because these processes are litigation prone. So we don't want the SG to be quoted that the decision was long in the back pocket, and the question of the DC was just a formality. So please respect that. So we won't answer that at the present. We'll talk about it at the end. Yes? Yeah. One last one. This one likes to come last. Yeah. And with very controversial questions.
Yeah, we take the credit. Thank you so much from UFM. SG, how far are you in getting consensus about? I've heard that you've said you've gone to provinces, you're going to Northwest to brief the structures and so on, but you probably see an angry Tony Yengeni yourself on Twitter daily complaining about this GNU. There's Andy Longisa, those are prominent people. Don't you perhaps think that this could have been handled better through NGC, considering how big the decision is, looking also at the longer implications that you could perhaps possibly be punished by your voters to say, why did you go into bed with those people?
I think it is water under the bridge now, because the ANC is leading government, working with other parties. The president is the president of the ANC. And then we are leading government in a GNU. So I don't know what is sellout about it. Sellout will be in policy, in government. If the ANC fails to implement the mandate of the people of South Africa, 6 million and many more, and try to basically shape up as a party, then it will lose more votes. And I don't think that question must be addressed otherwise, either than the ANC itself doing self-introspection. The ANC will meet in the National Executive Committee, probably after the 18th of July. Government will meet next week. Government will then look at the 7th Administration Program of Action. Going into that 7th Administration, to us, our statement is the manifesto. of the people of South Africa, 7 priorities, and without the order of preference, but in the main, the emphasis on jobs, 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 and turning the economy around. So can the JNU turn the economy around and create jobs for our people? That's what is important for us. So I'm not going to talk about Tony Ngeni. Andile knows this place. As a member of the NEC, he knows. So if you give me his tweet one more time, we will have to talk another language with him. He knows. Tony is a loose cannon. He's a freelancer. He's not accountable to anyone. So I can't respond to freelancers. It's going to be very difficult. Because what I'm going to say in this platform, he will respond 20 times. And I don't remember him even in this campaign supporting us to get 50%. I remember him supporting MK Party. And MK Party has taken 2.3 million people from the ANC. Today, we wouldn't be even arguing about JNU and DA and everybody if those people who went to MK, which are ANC voters, they went into the voting stations and voting booths with Ramaphosa's t-shirt and voted for MK Party. It's our constituency that voted for MK Party. So we wouldn't be here today talking about GNU and then all of that if 2.3 million people in a low voter turnout voted for the ANC. We will probably be at 58%. Or if we had reduced our majority, we'll probably be at, the turnout is 58%, which is really low voter turnout. But what it means is that if we had these 2 million, even lesser, we will be above 50%. So we wouldn't be talking. The DA, EFF, and all the smaller political parties combined could not bring us below 50. They had to get Jacob Zuma to do that. So what are you talking about? Who are they to lecture us about losing power when they worked? We told them, I was here, press conference after press conference, I said Jacob Zuma has put the NDR in a precarious position. I even used extreme statements. I said he will account if ANC loses power. Will he account? He doesn't account. He says he wants to finish us off. That's what he said. Immediately after the elections, he said, I want to finish them off. So he has not come to Lutulia House and say, I've now campaigned to rescue you. Here is my rescue plan. He didn't present it to me. Because he said his campaign